Hello, welcome back to Crossing Cultures with Christina Luna. One more week, the podcast where we tell people stories who share their experiences, their passions, and when we cross cultures beyond cultures, we cross cultures to go to other places in our lives also, not physically, but also emotionally. So today we have Dr. Helene Raphael, that is an amazing person that has been taking care of people all over the world during decades.
Crossing cultures.
Crossing cultures, right? I always say hello. How are you today?
Hi, Christine. Thank you, Christina. I had to add the A. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
You're
Thank you
doing
for
great?
being here because I know that you're traveling, always helping people all over the world. And I wanted to bring you like this. She's here now. Let's bring her. And so she can share her experience doing humanitarian work around the world where to heal people. And tell us a little bit about you because you have a PhD, you're a doctor, but you're not a doctor in medicine. You're a nurse PhD, a PhD in nursing, right?
DNP, yes. Doctorate in Nursing. Thank you, Christina. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here. I appreciate you entrusting this time to learn about cross-cultural healing. Cross-cultural healing. Oh, that should be a nice podcast.
Yeah, cross-cultural healing. I like that. Yes.
Cross-cultural healing. I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for over 2 decades, over 25 years. I started my career in the medical field when I was about 18 as a nurse's aide at a local hospital in Suffern, New York. I grew into the profession, went to nursing school, proceeded to acquire my master's in nursing. We call that nurse practitioner is an advanced study of nursing. And I started traveling the world in 2009. By the way, that was inspired by my 6-year-old son when I was called into missionary work. My first mission trip was in Haiti in 2009. Then I became a responder in 2010 for the major earthquake that happened in Haiti. Ever since then, I've been crossing cultures, helping others. Nurse practitioner has given me the autonomy to do that.
Because you're from Haiti too, right?
I'm originally from Haiti. Yes, I was born in Haiti.
What brought you into the world of health, into the profession of nursing and helping others? Because you went beyond that, you kept studying, and you had a holistic part. And we want to talk about it, about not what drew you there, but how you grew into healing people, not only physically, but also spirituality, right?
Yeah.
And mentally.
Yeah, that's a very good question. What drew me into nursing, I believe, was I felt call. I believe it was a calling. I believe God called me into that field. And what drew me into holistic medicine was my daughter that was 9 months old, early into my profession, that was diagnosed with asthma. And we could not find any method, traditional method, to stabilize her. It was from steroids to nebulizers to getting sick again. Steroids, nebulizers to getting sick. And so a colleague of mine referred me to a gentleman in New York City that was practicing functional medicine.
What does that mean?
Functional medicine is basically touching your lifestyle and looking at how we can incorporate lifestyle modalities and natural remedies into healing, into wholesome healing. Functional medicine heals the whole person. They dig for the root cause of the disease. They investigate the root cause of the disease, not just let me treat asthma, but what is triggering the asthma? What is the root cause of that inflammatory process? And so at the age of 9 months old, my daughter was nearly intubated. They nearly put a tube for her to breathe because her asthma was out of control. And Christina, the doctor said, change her diet.
The functional doctor?
The functional doctor said, change her diet. Take away dairy. Stop giving her milk. And add these supplements into her regimen. So I removed milk, I removed sugar, I added vitamin C, vitamin D, and fish oil. And that was the cure, by the way.
The cure.
The cure.
No more nebulizer, no
No
more
more
anything.
nebulizer, no more steroid. That was the cure to reversing her asthma.
By the way, we're not giving medical advice here, okay? We're telling stories, and please, if you have any issues, you can contact her, Dr. Raphael, but go to your doctor, okay?
Yes, that was a disclaimer plug. That was the cure, Christina. And ever since then, I have been on a holistic, treating the whole person journey.
That's what holistic means, right?
That's what holistic means.
Yeah.
Not just natural remedies, treating the whole person.
And what does it mean to truly heal?
Hmm.
Because you go and you're a nurse or things that are happening right around the world. But what have you found through your travels? What do people need to heal in different parts of the world, in different cultures through your experience?
Wow. I've been blessed to travel the world a decade and a half, 16 years. I have had the privilege to work in many, many nations in Africa, from Sierra Leone, post-Ebola, to Kenya, Ghana, Haiti, responded in many disasters, from the major disaster, from the earthquake to Katrina, to Hurricane Matthews. And there's one common theme. We are all looking for hope and love.
Even when you don't have your basic needs covered?
Even when we don't have our basic needs covered, such as lack of water, lack of sanitary system, lack of medical resources, lack of food, lack of adequate shelter. Even when you don't have the basic resources, I have had the opportunity to compare my life, living the life that I have now, and compare it to some of the most deplorable places that I've traveled. Everyone is looking for hope and love.
That's really, really beyond any expectations I had from your response, you know?
But so then you ask, what is healing? My definition of healing is not just to reverse the blood pressure. My definition of healing is to restore a little bit of hope in a person that has a deficiency in their well-being.
How do you do that in disaster situations? Like when people don't think that there's flour, or even in our own culture, right? Where people sometimes don't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
So in a disaster, or even here, the individual is experiencing some form of distress. Number one, when we encounter the individual, we assess what is that distress? What is that need? And once I'm able to identify what that distress is, what that need is, then I tailor my care towards that specific need, towards that specific distress.
How do you do that in a place, let's say that there's like a disaster, there's no water, people have lost their homes or their families, or, there's a virus, a disease going on?
If I can't fulfill that physical need, I'm going to attempt to fulfill the emotional need.
How do you do that?
Being present, connecting with the person. You see how you and I we're having an eye-to-eye conversation. Everyone needs a human contact. Don't believe the hype about AI, by the way. AI can never take the place of the human interaction.
That's scary, the AI, yeah.
Holding hands. I hold your hand if it's permissible. If it's permissible. Sometimes it could be a smile, a genuine smile. Sometimes it's just a word of encouragement. But the global response would be being present and allow the individual to tell you what their needs are.
And how do you find, or we can find the strength in moments when you don't feel you have strength?
How do you find the strength in moments that you don't have strength? I would say one big thing is to reflect internally and identify a moment of gratitude. We all have a moment where something good happened to us. Find strength in that. Find strength in a meaning, something that was meaningful to you. Find strength in your spiritual practice, if you have one. Find strength in your own courage. Because as a missionary, I've learned that everyone has the capacity to explore their resiliency. Everyone has courage. We all have courage. But most times it's superimposed by fear. Fear tends to shadow our courage. It turns to blur the vision of our strength. So how do you find that courage? Gratitude, prayer, a song, connecting with nature, connecting with a loved one, and name them. Name those things that you find strength in at that moment.
Nowadays, in the modern world, people seem to have lost hope or faith due to all the things that are happening around the world, and there's a lot of fear. People are angry with each other because of their different views in every single way. What can you say about that, and how can we heal from that?
Yeah, that
Modern world disease.
yeah. Modern world disease, right? And again, your show is about cross-cultural. There is something to that, because when we don't understand, it can create confusion. It can create biasism. I would say educate ourselves. So read about what we don't understand, to learn about the dynamics of what it is that we want to learn. So before I travel to a different country, I read about the culture, because then it empowers me to have better interaction with the people that I'm going to serve. And so how do we get along? We put aside differences. We look at the individual, because, Christina, we are more alike than different.
I always say we have all the basic things, all of us the same, right? Needs, physically, emotionally. We start the same way in life. The beginning is the same, and the end is the same. We are
more alike than different. We are all interconnected, whether we like it or not. I need you to survive. You need me to survive. And I need my environment to survive. So maybe we can start practicing truly how to love without borders.
Without judgment.
Without biasism. Maybe perhaps respect, right? We can start with respecting each other's personal space, personal individuality. And I believe if we can do that, we can find a place of love. We can find a place of respect. We can find a place even of somewhat comfort.
That's really great. We have to practice that, right? Every single day, especially when we see obstacles and we get angry with other people because they don't think the way we think, right? And now I want to go back to your travels, because I am so curious, and I'm sure our listeners, viewers are curious too. What has been the most emotional impact that you have received from your travels, and where and how?
Wow. So many stories to tell, but one stands out very vividly. Early in my journey, in my missionary work, and by the way, a medical missionary is an individual that combines the medical, the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual modalities into healing. That's my definition of a medical missionary. And it's an individual that will get up and go, if that makes sense, right? Get up and go, and it doesn't have to be across the world. It could be right around the corner, by the way, because I also practice missionary work in my local community. But in impact, one big one that stands with me was a 2-year-old that had an eye tumor early in my career.
Where was that?
This was in 2012. I encountered during a mobile clinic. So when I travel, what do? When I travel, I set up clinics into different areas. Even as a disaster responder, as a provider, I travel with 20, 30 volunteers from across the world. We come together into one location and we structure stations, medical stations, what we call mobile clinics. And we provide medical services to treat chronic diseases and acute care. We also do emotional and spiritual care. I'm a chaplain by nature, and I do disaster response services also as a chaplain for emotional care. So we have these stations where the individuals from the community will come to be treated. On a particular day, we had a 2-year-old, a mom that presented with a 2-year-old that had a tumor. Well, we immediately made arrangements from the local government, the local Department of Health. I contacted a physician colleague here in the United States, and they assist me with mobilizing medical help for this child. I have to tell you, it was so on point, Christina. The hospitals responded well. We got the documents to bring to the government for a medical visa for the child. On our way to the airport to bring the child into the States to get help, the child died.
Oh my God. Wow.
I have goosebumps still. I will never forget that story. I would never forget that day, the hopelessness that I experienced, the helplessness that I experienced, even guilt. Guilt, feeling that I could have moved faster, I could have done more. But my comfort, the comfort that I had from that experience was you did everything you could. And everyone that was inclusive in the care of that child did everything they could. But you can continue. You can continue to touch many lives. You can continue to do better.
Tell us how some of their lives you have touched, some of these experiences around the world.
Wow. Around the world, I would say some of my fondest experience is my interaction with the elderly. And they all have the same story of courage, of resilience, of love, and of hope. And the elderly, they're the most vulnerable. Children and the elderly, we know, are the most vulnerable in the community.
Everywhere.
Everywhere, not just around the world, but even here. And so bringing that comfort, whether through a blanket, a scarf, medications, a prayer, or a hug, for me, it's more than a gift. It's purpose. It's meaning making. It's life to me.
How do you balance giving versus receiving? Because you're giving a lot, as in your healing, in your profession, in your volunteer work.
That's a great question. So there is a scripture, Bible scripture that I go by. The more you give, the more you receive. But if you didn't believe the Bible, there is a law of nature. Law of nature is when you release, you make room to receive. So how do I balance that? I feel tremendously blessed. I feel purposeful. I feel alive. I feel vibrant. I feel like every day I wake up, I can make a difference. And I feel that God has used me to make measurable differences. So I can touch and feel what I receive, though it may not be tangible, right? It may not be monetary, right? But I can touch and feel what I receive in the life of my family, in the life of my children, and in the life of the people that I interact with.
And how do you cope with the suffering? Because there's a lot of suffering that you see with your work.
Absolutely. I see a lot of suffering. Recently, I responded to a disaster. I came back a mess, emotionally a mess. And so we normally will have what you call debriefing sessions where we share and have talk therapy. We call it talk therapy. So we have talk therapy. I have a counselor that, a mentor that we give feedback to. And then I practice self-care.
How do you apply the self-care? What do you do? It's so important. Each of you is different for every person, right?
Self-care. Self-care is tremendous in this line of work when you're consuming energies and emotions.
You give
and
so much.
pain, and the giving is not the part. It's taking in so much of that emotion. I would say even a lot of it could be traumatic. It could be traumatic as well. So self-care for me is hiking, exercising in nature, whether it's through hiking, running, because I have a sense of gratitude towards nature. I'm able to pray and meditate silently in nature. Journaling. I journal. You'll hear me say a lot. I talk a lot about journaling. So I write a lot about my experiences, and I sleep well. I can say that I eat well. Nutritionally, I've taken good nutrients, but most importantly, I would say my family support. My family is very supportive in this line of work. I could say we are a missionary family. So we are all inclusive, husband and children. We are all inclusive in this line of work. So we support each other.
That's so important, right? And
Yeah.
have you had any times doubts of continuing in this line of work?
Absolutely not.
I thought you would say absolutely yes. Sometimes
Absolutely not. That has not crossed my mind. I believe that I was called for this line of work, whether it's locally or internationally. It does some things to you. It feeds your soul. It helps you grow. It helps you to adapt in environments that otherwise you wouldn't adapt to. It gives you a sense of gratitude. You're able to evaluate your own personal life and look at other lives and help them be better and help you to grow. Resiliency. I would say I've traveled the world where I've worked with very little resources, and I have to make what I have work. I have to adapt in my environment, not just to eat what they're eating, but also to work with very little, like using cardboard for immobilization, using leaves and palm trees, banana leaves as a form of treatment, as a form of cast, using clay as a form of cast. So I'm learning medicine in a whole different approach.
You have to be creative.
Creativity. Oh my gosh, creativity. And it comes to you. it comes to you. So will I ever leave this line of work? Absolutely not. And I believe that I'm doing the work of the Father. God has called me to go, and I'm being obedient to the calling that He's instilled upon my life.
And tell us now, we want to hear a little bit about your culturally adventures, places you've seen, people you've met, one of your favorite places, or something that you want to highlight us to share with us.
Gosh, that's another packed question. One of my biggest highlights would be nature. I loved the safari. So we talked about the people, right? Let's get that straight, because I love the people. I love meeting different cultures. I've gone to Morocco. I've met Muslims. I've gone to South Africa. I've gone to South America. I've met the Latino culture. I've gone to Germany. I've met Germans and met the Jews, and I've met families from Austria. I've met families that survived the Holocaust. Oh my gosh. I've met families that survived the periods of slavery that was in Civil War from the Mandela time. But other than that, I would say the biggest thing for me is the environmental, is the nature.
What are some of your favorite places?
The safari. I love the safari. I love watching the animal kingdom integrating together and living together in unity.
Where did you see that?
I saw that in Ghana, in South Africa, Tanzania, and Kenya. I loved watching the animal kingdom. Yes, I would say a big point in the world of missionary. We all have it in us. Each one of us has the capacity to serve.
If somebody wants to do that, how would they?
Where do you start? I would say start at a local soup kitchen. Start at a local homeless shelter. Start with a reputable organization. There's many NGOs, organizations that are supporting individuals. Or perhaps you can start at a local nursing home. The nursing homes have a recreational department where you can reach out to them, that the elderly many a times can appreciate what you call a companion. And you can go and be a companion, to sit down with a lonely elder person, to read them a story, to sing them a song, or to just listen to them. Sometimes just being present is enough. So you can start to serve right in the border of where you are. And I would say that is a great habit to start children in, so they could start learning and seeing how other people live. It's not like what they live. Then it gives them again a sense of gratitude and awareness. So where can a child start? Children can also start in volunteering at a local hospital. They have tween programs that you can contact local agencies like the YMCA, the Rotary Club. Here in the Stroudsburg, there's an organization called Valor, where they serve the homeless. You can reach out to the Habitat for Humanity.
Soup kitchens, right?
Any soup
The
kitchen
elderly.
can help. Again, soup kitchen, we call it day habs. The children can go there and help learn how to serve, prepare meals, so that they can learn to give.
Serving is a way of healing.
I love
right?
that.
Not only to the others, but to ourselves.
Yes, ma'am.
I think this was very powerful. It was a great conversation. It's not about being broken. It's about how we can reconnect with ourselves and with others.
Help restore.
Restore.
Yeah, serving help not only restore others, but you restore yourself, because you see the value in what you can offer.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So we are on our way of being healed today.
Yes.
So we cross cultures, we cross borders physically and emotionally on the journey of healing and having a better life. So thank you so much for being with us today. And if you have any comments, please, share them with us in the comments. Or if you want to connect with Dr. Raphael, let me know and I will connect you directly. Thank you for another week, another story, a great story. Don't forget to follow us, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Podcast, and we will see you next time.
We serve through an organization called Helping Hands and Beyond. Helping Hands and Beyond, you can reach out to us. We serve locally and globally.